Well done! You've chosen global e-invoicing with Avalara, a single API approach. Let's get into e-invoicing and jurisdictions with Avalara's Leonardo Nogueira and Siddeshwar Nagul.
Enjoy the session, and remember, you can always go back to the lobby and switch sessions, or even watch your session from the lobby.
Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us. My name is Siddeshwar Nagul. I'm Senior Manager at Avalara India. And with me, we have Leonardo Nogueira, Senior Director at Avalara Brazil. We also have Shravan Kumar Kadimisetti, Technical Architect at Avalara India. Leo and Shravan will take care of your questions in Q&A session. So please feel free to drop any question that comes to your mind. By the way, Leo is my boss, and he asked me to take up this opportunity to speak here. And he's standing right behind me to support, just in case if I get nervous or if I need any help. Now, I would say that's what's the culture we have at Avalara. Here at Avalara, your boss will keep pushing you to grab new opportunities, and he and she will be standing strong to support you or help you. Okay, let me share my screen quickly. So in next 30 minutes, we will take you to our journey of e-invoicing. So today we're going to discuss e-invoicing, what it is, how complex it is, how complex is the implementation, how complex is the business logic, the exhaustive use cases, and how sensitive it is to be compliant with e-invoicing. And we will discuss how Avalara's single API approach is going to make it easy for millions of software engineers across the globe. What is e-invoicing and its applicability? With growing in digital trends, governments are also in the race of digitization. The increased use of e-invoicing, electronic filing by government authorities is one such example. E-invoicing refers to electronic reporting and verification of tax invoices through government's portal. Each invoice issued has a unique reference number, sometimes QR code, which later can be used for invoice referencing, auto-populating tax returns, auto-populating some other information. E-invoicing has already been adopted by several developed and developing countries across the globe. Every country has their own mandate requirements, threshold limits, network, business models, and exemptions. This concept is pretty much same in almost all the countries. However, there are significant differences in the mechanism of technology used, data storage, data collection, data archiving rules, data upload methods, etc. Now, what are mandates? Invoicing mandate is a regulatory requirement imposed by government, imposed on businesses for transactions. Now, mandate specifies that business must generate, transmit, and receive invoices in a particular format. Mandates are introduced to address multiple concerns to prevent tax frauds and to promote transparency. E-invoice mandates contains the standards like transformation, encryption, digital signature, etc. The businesses are mandatory to follow these mandates before submitting invoice to government portals or government designated platforms or certified service providers. Now, talking about adoption, so Europe is leading the way with its PayPal project, mandated the implementation of e-invoicing technology. E-invoicing mandate impacts the businesses of all sizes, industries, requiring both buyers and sellers to comply with the government regulation. It is mandatory for businesses to keep up to date on guidelines and utilize e-invoicing system to efficiently generate, send, receive, and process the invoices to avoid financial penalties and sometimes legal actions. Now, Keeping up to date with these changes in the mandates, new introduction into the mandates is going to be the challenge for any developer or customers. The future is adoption is expected to increase as both buyers and suppliers will realize the benefit of e-invoicing that delivers. The benefit includes reduced cost, reduced errors, improved transparency, faster payments, and streamlined business processes. E-invoicing is no more a digital trend. It is now future of the compliance. The number of new mandates are increasing every year, and navigating to these requirements can be highly confusing and time consuming. This is where exactly how Avalara is entering into the game. So we are actually making this more easy for our partners and developers. Now let's talk about data exchange model. This is the high-level overview of the data exchange model. Although document exchange models are country-specific and vary from each other, okay, they can be grouped based on typical their feature. Now let's talk about the first one, four-corner model. This is interoperable model. This model utilizes a network of private service providers where the regulator focuses on establishing a unified document format and exchange method. Here, tax authority is not involved. Businesses become more efficient in invoicing, and for regulators, it is like audit and analysis becomes more easy. Quickly jumping on to the second model, which is real-time reporting model. The seller reports the invoice to government agency and exchange of an invoice between seller and the buyer. Business will need to implement two different solutions, two different processes. One for real-time reporting and second for e-invoicing. Now quickly moving to the third model. This model provides invoice clearance before and after issue of the invoice to the supplier. Clearance includes fiscal validation and approval. Clearance may be provided by central platform or by a network of accredited service providers. Now, in this case, document exchange takes place directly between seller and buyer, and it is not regulated. Talking about the next model, that is centralized model. This model prohibits a direct exchange of regulated documents between trading parties. A central platform is established by government agency, and documents are exchanged between buyer and seller through the central model only. Next is continuous transaction control model. This is a combination of four-corner model with live reporting or clearance. In this model, supplier exchanges documents with buyer and tax authority at a time. Clearance and issuance to buyer can happen in parallel. Moving to next slide. Now let's talk about what is there for you. Okay, just imagine you are working on a project and your product owner has reached you for e-invoicing compliance requirements for one of the customer. Now, since this is a compliance thing and came directly from the customer, this is urgent. And now it is your turn to find the best and quick way to fulfill the requirement and address the urgency. Let's deep dive into this use case. Let's say the customer has presence in multiple countries. So you need to learn or understand e-invoicing first. You need to understand the mandates of those countries, business models, supported networks, and list of the last mile providers. You need to spend time and effort to learn about e-invoicing requirements, country-specific mandates, and then go and implement them. Implementation done. So you need to focus on the integration and then deliver the solution. Now just imagine, after you finish this work, your product manager, your product owner, again coming to you, okay, and asking for similar work for another customer in some other country for some other mandates. Now you will have to keep that your core idea, core project aside, and again focus on this compliance thing because compliance is always a priority. Now, how this can be avoided? You can save all this time, energy, efforts to focus on your core area, which will help developing your own product or idea. Question is how? And the answer is Avalara's single API, which will help to make your life, a software developer's life, easy in three simple steps. Authenticate yourself on Avalara's single API for e-invoicing, prepare the document in UBL format, and send that document to the API. That's it, three simple steps. Now, let's talk about Spoke, single point of contact. We all are engineers. We often work with different organizations, different teams, and we always prefer to have Spoke, single point of contact. Why? Because that makes our life easy. That makes communication easy. That makes decision making easy, and we can save our time, energy, effort to focus on our core business area. Now, in the case of e-invoicing, Avalara's single API is your Spoke, single point of contact for all this complex work, for all the variations of different countries. You just need to focus on your single point of contact. Okay, enough of theory now. Let's get back to the business. I mean, e-invoicing business. Demo time. Let's go to the technical demo. Before we get into the demo, let me recall our last conference. Last year, in the same conference, we showed you how to issue invoices in three easy steps. Today, we are excited to announce that since last demo, we have been working to evolve our services, and today we are supporting 75 plus mandates in 35 plus countries. We have accomplished this exciting milestone by using our middleware technology, highly scalable architecture, and last mile providers for transforming and delivering the data. We have standardized all our payloads in UBL 2.1 format. We are using the same standards for all the mandates and for all the countries. Now let's see those three simple steps. Authenticate, prepare the document in UBL format, and send that document to the API. Let me pull up the Postman. So for this demo, I'll be using Postman. Okay, so during the demo, we will see KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Japan, Portugal. Okay, in this case, Japan is PayPal mandate. Japan follows the PayPal network, whereas KSA and Portugal are non-PayPal mandates. These three examples will help us to understand how a single integration to our API handles complexity of different governments requiring the invoices to be delivered in different transport methods in different formats. All this is made possible with single API, same payload. Sometimes you may need some minor tweaks in the payload. Okay, so let's do the first step. Okay, for authorization, you have one API. Okay, for getting an access token to our API, you need client secret and client ID. Now, this is something you will get during or after onboarding process after you sign up with Avalara. Okay, now let me hit the send button. With the client ID and client secret, we will get the token. Now let's go to submit invoice. And as we talked, we will talk about the KSA first. Now KSA has got B2C PDF and B2B. Okay, so we'll first see KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, B2C use case. Now we have this API, e-invoicing/documents. Okay, so for this demo, we are using our QA environment. So after the main domain, you will have to use e-invoicing/documents. Now in the body, there are two elements. First is metadata and second is data. Let's see the metadata. In the metadata, we need to mention the workflow ID, data format, that is UBL, data format version, which is 2.1, country code, SA, that is Saudi Arabia, and the country mandate. Now, in this case, we are using SA phase 1 B2C PDF. Now, KSA has got phase 1 and phase 2, but here in this demo, we are showing you the phase 1 only. Phase 2 will soon be available with Avalara's single API. Moving to the data part, here it is pretty difficult to understand, so let me copy this. Open the Visual Studio. So this is the data element of the API that is the part of payload. Okay, this is nothing but your document. So today we are supporting invoices and credit notes. Okay, let's assume you want to send KSA invoice. Okay, so this is your invoice in UBL 2.1 format. Okay, this contains all the information about invoices only, invoice that you want to send, the document number, date, the postal address, the legal entities, supplier party, customer party, their addresses and items that were sold, the payment terms, etc. So in short, this is your invoice that you want to send to your government in UBL 2.1 format. I'll go back to Postman. I'll simply hit the send button. Now we are submitting this invoice to government, and in response, we got this ID. So if you see the status 2.1 created, that means this document was successfully submitted. Let's note the ID 26728. Let me go to our UI application. Now this is our UI application called as ELR Monitor. Again, I'm using the QA environment. I will sign into this application and let's see if our document appears here. It takes some few seconds to appear. 26728. Okay. Meanwhile, while that document appears here, I would like to talk about a couple of important features that we have in the monitor application. So this is the basic grid, which will display all the information. You can customize this grid, okay, to see or hide columns. We have process logs. So this shows the events. Okay, so any document that is submitted goes through multiple events, and this shows the events along with the timestamp. Okay, and this shows the attachment. Okay, so it contains the input document that got used, the instruct file, which is used to generate the output file. You can download all the attachments. Let me go back here and see. Now, the moment you submit the document, we have an ability to check the status of the document as well. So this is 26728. Let's see if there was any error. Yeah, this is complete 2678. Let's go back to the UI application. Okay, for some reason that document is not appearing here. Okay, in the interest of the time, let's proceed. Similar to KSA okay, since we're talking about KSA B2C, let's see the ability to download the document. Okay, so this is KSA B2C. Okay, with same API with additional parameter. Okay, you can simply download the document. This is B2C, KSA B2C PDF. So let me hit the send button. And you'll be able to see this simplified tax invoice. This is part of KSA phase 2. So here we support the multiple languages like Arabic language, Japanese. Okay, so simplified invoice is specially for KSA phase 2. Now, like I showed you, you can submit the document using the same API. You can check the status just by adding the document ID and status as a parameter, and you can download the document using the same API. Now let's move to KSA B2B. This is download. Let me go to KSA B2B. Yep. So metadata and data, two elements we need as we learn. The small change is you need to change the country mandate. Now here it is SA, Saudi Arabia, phase 1, B2B. Let me hit the send button. Okay, we got the ID. Status is 201 created, and we got the new transaction ID. Now, same API with little change in the parameter will help you to check the status that we have seen. Okay, and we have seen the B2B as well. Same API, just little change in the metadata. And document is something you will have to modify every time. The format need not be modified, but the data, the invoice the data needs to be modified. Now, let me quickly go to Japan. Sorry, Japan is a PayPal mandate. Okay. Now, again, same thing, same API, two elements. You just need to change the country code and the country mandate. Okay. And then your invoice document with all customer information, all the transaction information. Let me hit the send button. Yep. So Japan has very interesting use case of self-billing. Okay, so customer can actually bill the invoice to the supplier. In this case, two transactions will be reported. One is inbound and second is outbound. Let's check the status. Now, so status completes the same API with additional parameter. And let's download the invoice. Yeah, so the invoice document that was reported has been downloaded. Now let's go to our third use case, which is Portugal. Now Portugal is a non-PayPal mandate supporting B2B clearance, B2C clearance, and B2G invoicing. It follows safety process with onboarding at Primavera network. And let's see the invoice. Again, with the same API, same metadata, and I'm just changing the country, that is PT, Portugal, and the country mandate, B2B clearance. Okay. Let me note this 26744. And I'll check the status of the document. Okay, so status is completed. Okay, and this is the XML document that was submitted to the portal. Now, this was all about the invoicing. Okay. Now, as I mentioned that we are supporting invoices as well as credit notes. So let me go back and take one example of credit note. Okay. Now, again, the same API, we need two of the elements. Okay. And this time the data format is UBL credit note, again with different mandate, and the country is NL. So let me submit this. So here is the document ID. Let me check the status with same API. Okay, so document submitted, the status is completed. Let me download. I'm executing the same process for all mandates. Okay, so in this case, this is credit note. Now, while checking the status, we know, you can just pass the document ID and get the status of the document, right? Now, what if you don't know the document ID? Okay, so you can use the same API with these many filters. At this moment, I will just use the start date and end date filter. I'll hit the send button. And this will give you all the invoices, all the documents, rather, I would say, the documents that were submitted between these two ranges, date ranges. Similarly, you can add some specific filter like ID equal to this. So this was an ability of using the same API to get the list of invoices those that were submitted. Now, as mentioned earlier, we'll keep adding invoices for more countries, more mandates. We'll keep them up to the date with the changes happening across the globe. Now, as a software developer or as an integration developer or a business leader, you need to know the list of country mandates that Avalara is supporting at any given point of time. So we have a separate API for that. You just need to go here. Instead of documents, you need to mention mandates, okay, and hit the API. We have some filters here, but for now I'll skip them and I will hit the send button. Now this is the list of mandates that we support. Okay, AD, B2G, PayPal, AD, B2B, PayPal. This will give you the entire list of mandates that we support at any given point of time. So that's all about the demo. Let me go back to my PPT. Okay, so last slide, closing notes. Avalara is one-stop shop for all your invoicing needs. Avalara is a major player in e-invoicing and live reporting domain, covering many countries and mandates. And we have planned that we will continue to expand our offering in terms of country and mandate coverage. Now, as we have learned that we have got single REST API, and we support the latest trend that is UBL 2.1. We are ready today. Our platform also integrates with SDI for Italy, NAV in Hungary, Chorus Pro in France, and all the countries with mandates built on PayPal network. In times, these will be supported by our API. If you want any mandate or any country to be supported on high priority, do let us know. We'll do needful. And as mentioned in the previous session, all our developer resources are available on developer.avalara.com. Enroll today to our developer program to get the access to our API. And usually at the end of the session, we usually say happy coding, but since world is moving towards e-invoicing, I would like to say happy e-invoicing. That's it. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll stop sharing.